The launch party for Wright Industries' new headquarters was exactly as pretentious as I expected. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above designer suits and diamonds, while my stepfamily held court like corporate royalty. I stood quietly near the refreshment table, wearing what they assumed was my best attempt at business attire, actually a custom Oscar de la Renta that cost more than their monthly salaries combined. "Sarah, darling," my stepsister Amanda called out, waving her champagne glass imperiously. "Be a dear and fetch us some fresh drinks. You're here to help, aren't you?" I smiled politely, thinking about the merger documents hidden in my purse. The ones that would turn their precious family company into a subsidiary of my son's global corporation by tomorrow morning. "Actually," I started to say, but my stepbrother Marcus cut me off. "Coffee too," he ordered, not even looking up from his phone. "Black for the executives and make sure it's hot this time." If they only knew that the secretary they were ordering around was the majority shareholder of Summit Global, the mysterious conglomerate that had been systematically acquiring companies like theirs across 3 continents. All while they mocked my support staff career. "Right away," I said quietly, watching my stepmom Patricia preen at her children's authority. She'd spent the last 15 years trying to erase any trace of my existence in the Wright family business, never suspecting I'd built something far greater. My phone buzzed, a message from James, my son. "Contracts ready. Board votes confirmed. Ready to announce whenever you are, Mom." I touched the simple locket around my neck, the last gift from my late husband before he passed away when James was just a baby. "Build something meaningful," he told me. "Something bigger than their small minds can imagine." "Sarah," Patricia's voice cut through my memories, "while you're getting drinks, do remind the catering staff about proper presentation. Some of us understand professional standards." Professional standards. I suppressed a laugh, thinking about Summit Global's legendary corporate culture. The empire James and I had built while they thought I was just a secretary. "Of course," I replied, checking my watch. 20 minutes until James's arrival. 20 minutes until their perfectly ordered world shattered. Marcus was now loudly discussing Wright Industries' latest acquisition, a modest software company that would have been a rounding error in Summit's portfolio. "Biggest deal this quarter," he boasted to anyone within earshot. "Though I suppose some people," he glanced meaningfully in my direction, "wouldn't understand the complexities of corporate mergers. If he only knew that I'd personally orchestrated more mergers in the past month than Wright Industries had managed in its entire history. That their biggest deal was actually a strategic setup for Summit's takeover." "Speaking of deals," Amanda chimed in, her voice dripping with fake sympathy, "how's that little investment club of yours, Sarah? Still meeting at the community center?" The investment club was actually a cover for Summit's private equity division, which I ran while maintaining my careful facade of struggling single mom. The community center they mocked? Owned by one of our shell companies. "We manage," I said softly as my phone buzzed again. Another message from James. "Car just pulled up. Ready to make history, Mom." Patricia swooped in, ever the controlling stepmother. "Sarah dear, you really should consider that administrative position we discussed. Something stable. At your age, with your limited experience." Limited experience. While they'd been playing corporate politics in their regional office, I'd built a global financial empire. All while letting them think I couldn't rise above assistant work. "Thank you," I replied carefully, "but I'm comfortable with my current situation." "Comfortable?" Marcus scoffed. "Running errands and making coffee? Mom's right, you need a real career. Though I suppose some people just aren't suited for executive roles." Executive roles. Like the CEO position at Summit Global that James and I shared, trading off responsibilities while maintaining complete anonymity from the business world. My phone buzzed one final time. Walking in now. Time to show them what real success looks like. The room's atmosphere shifted as James entered, tall, confident, impeccably dressed in a suit that cost more than Marcus's car. At 25, he'd already revolutionized 3 industries and was about to add Wright Industries to his portfolio. "Who's that?" Amanda whispered, suddenly alert. "He looks important." Before anyone could respond, James spotted me and smiled. "Mother," he called out clearly, his voice carrying across the suddenly quiet room. "Ready to sign those merger papers?" The silence that followed was absolutely perfect. "Mother." Patricia choked on her champagne, her perfect socialite composure cracking. Sarah, what is he talking about? James strode over, purposefully ignoring the stunned Wright family members. The board's vote was unanimous, he told me, pulling out an elegant leather portfolio. Summit Global's acquisition of Wright Industries is ready to proceed. Summit Global? Marcus's face went pale. That's impossible. They're the largest private equity firm in the world. I supplied helpfully. Yes, quite an achievement for a mere secretary's son, wouldn't you say? Amanda was frantically Googling on her phone. James Wright, CEO of Summit Global, net worth. Oh my God. Impressive, isn't it? I smiled, watching their faces as realization dawned. Though I suppose some people just aren't suited to recognize executive potential. Patricia grabbed Marcus's arm. This must be a mistake. Summit Global is run by my mother and me, James finished smoothly. Though we did enjoy watching you underestimate her all these years. Made the takeover so much easier. The crowd around us had grown silent, sensing the dramatic shift in power. These were the same executives who'd watched me fetch coffee for years, never suspecting I was evaluating their competence for eventual acquisition. But you work as support staff, Marcus stammered. You've been making coffee and running errands. Market research, I corrected him. Amazing what people reveal when they think they're talking to someone beneath them. Your handling of the Thompson merger was particularly enlightening. James opened his portfolio, revealing the contracts. Speaking of mergers, shall we make this official? Mother and I have a board meeting in Dubai tomorrow. Dubai. Amanda whispered, her designer bracelet suddenly looking cheap compared to the subtle wealth James and I exuded. One of many, I nodded. Running a global empire keeps us quite busy. Though I always made time to bring you coffee, Marcus. Consider it my contribution to corporate courtesy. My phone buzzed. Our executive team was in position, ready to begin the transition. Wright Industries management was about to learn what real corporate leadership looked like. This is absurd, Patricia declared, trying to rally. The board would never approve. They already have, James cut in smoothly. Unanimously, as Mother mentioned. Your controlling shares were quite helpful, though you might want to check who actually owns them now. Marcus lunged for his laptop, pulling up the shareholder registry. This shows, but when did? Remember that investment club you mocked? I smiled. We've been acquiring Wright shares through various shells for years. Today just makes it official. James gestured to the contracts. Shall we use your father's old office for the signing? I believe Mother knows where it is. She's only been bringing coffee there for the past decade. The room erupted in whispers as the truth spread. The mysterious Summit Global, the corporate giant that had been reshaping global finance, was run by the woman they dismissed as a glorified secretary. Why? Patricia asked, her voice barely a whisper. Why let us treat you like someone beneath you? I finished for her. Because arrogance makes people careless. Your children were so busy mocking my career choices that they never noticed their company being systematically positioned for takeover. James led the way to the executive suite, our entourage of lawyers and board members following behind. The Wright family trailed last, their usual confident strut replaced by shell-shocked stumbling. You'll find everything in order, I said, settling into the CEO's chair, the same one Marcus had ordered me to dust last week. Summit Global has already begun the integration process. Integration? Marcus croaked. You mean? Complete restructuring, James confirmed, spreading out the documents. Though we're offering generous severance packages. Mother insisted, something about teaching professional courtesy. Patricia stepped forward, desperation clear in her perfectly made-up face. Sarah, be reasonable. We're family. Family. I raised an eyebrow. Like when you relegated me to secretarial work after my husband died. When you told the board I was emotionally unstable for wanting to learn the business. We were protecting you, she protested weakly. No, James cut in, his voice hard. You were protecting yourselves. Keeping my mother in a box that made you feel superior. Never suspecting she was building something far greater than Wright Industries could ever be. My phone buzzed, our executive team sending confirmation of the global press release. By morning, The business world would know that Summit Global's mysterious leadership was a mother-son duo who'd orchestrated the most brilliant corporate takeover in recent history. The Thompson merger, Marcus suddenly realized. The software acquisition, you were positioning us. For this exact moment, I nodded. Every coffee run, every errand, every time you dismissed me as just a secretary, I was learning your weaknesses, understanding your operations, preparing for today. Amanda was still scrolling through her phone, her hands shaking. Summit Global, they're worth more than every company in this building combined, James finished. Though Mother's personal net worth alone would suffice to buy Wright Industries several times over. Personal net worth? Patricia whispered. I pulled out my own phone, showing them the Forbes article that would go live at midnight. Summit Global's secret weapon, how Sarah Wright built a financial empire while serving coffee. The press will be here in the morning, James advised. We've arranged for media training for your family. Consider it a courtesy from the secretary you never bothered to know. Marcus slumped into a chair, his expensive suit suddenly looking cheap. All those meetings, the strategic discussions while you served refreshments. Due diligence, I smiled. Though your dismissive attitude made it remarkably easy. Amazing how much people reveal when they think the help isn't listening. Harrison, our chief of staff who'd been posing as a catering manager, entered with an update. Mrs. Wright, the transition teams are in position. Global offices have been notified. Mrs. Wright. Amanda repeated numbly. But you always insisted we call you Sarah. A small deception, I acknowledged. Like the community center meetings that were actually Summit Global board sessions. Or the evening classes where I was orchestrating international mergers. James handed Marcus a folder. Your new employment contract should you wish to stay on. Entry-level position of course. Mother believes in earning one's way up. Entry-level. Marcus sputtered. But I'm executive vice president. I corrected gently. Though I'm sure you'll find answering phones and fetching coffee. Character building. Patricia made one last attempt. The Wright family name belongs to us, James stated firmly. To me and my mother. The real Wrights who built something extraordinary while you were busy playing corporate politics. I stood up, smoothing my designer suit. The papers need signing. Unless you'd prefer a hostile takeover? Summit Global's legal team is quite experienced in those. As they numbly watched James and me sign the acquisition documents, I touched my locket again. Build something meaningful, my husband had said. Looking at our son, at our empire, at the stunned faces of those who'd underestimated us, I knew we'd built something beyond even his dreams. The next morning, as global media exploded with the news of Summit Global's leadership revelation and the Wright Industries acquisition, I sat in my private office, the real one, not the secretary's desk they'd relegated me to. My phone showed missed calls from every Wright family member, along with desperate messages from executives suddenly realizing who they'd been dismissing all these years. I sent them all the same response, a photo of James and me signing the acquisition papers with a simple note. Coffee will be served in the main conference room at 9 a.m. Do try to be punctual. After all, success is the best revenge, but irony makes it sweeter. Look. 1 year later, Wright Industries had been fully absorbed into Summit Global. The old executive suite where I'd served coffee was now a training center for promising young professionals, with special emphasis on looking past titles and appearances. Marcus works in the mailroom now, learning the business from the ground up. Amanda handles reception, though she's stopped wearing designer labels to work. Patricia. Well, she still attends society functions, but now as the mother-in-law of that secretary who made it big. Me. I still serve coffee sometimes, but only during Summit Global's board meetings. James insists it's become our good luck ritual, mother and son, building an empire together, one perfectly brewed cup at a time. The true power, we've learned, isn't in the corner office or the executive title. It's in being underestimated, in being patient, in knowing that sometimes the best success stories are written by those nobody saw coming. Even if they have to serve coffee along the way. 6 months after the acquisition, I decided to host a special shareholders meeting at Summit Global's headquarters, the same building where I'd once served coffee. The Wright family was required to attend as minority shareholders, though their combined voting power now amounted to less than 1%. Please take your seats, I announced from the podium, enjoying how Marcus and Amanda shuffled to the back row, no longer strutting to the front like they owned the place. We have several announcements about Summit Global's latest expansions. James stepped up beside me, pulling up our presentation. First, I'd like to thank my mother, who taught me that true leadership isn't about titles or corner offices. It's about vision, patience, and the wisdom to see opportunities others miss. Patricia shifted uncomfortably in her seat as the screens showed Summit Global's latest acquisition targets, including several companies where she'd bragged about having connections. As you can see, I continued, our strategy of quiet acquisition has proven remarkably successful. Speaking of which, I paused, making eye contact with my stepfamily. We've recently acquired controlling interest in the country club you're all so fond of. Amanda's face went pale. The country club had been their last bastion of social superiority, where they'd spent years telling everyone how they'd helped their poor secretary stepsister. Don't worry, James added with a smile that matched mine, your memberships are safe. Though the dress code now specifically prohibits looking down on service staff. Mother's suggestion, of course. The presentation continued, showing Summit Global's extraordinary growth since going public. Each chart, each acquisition, each success was a silent reminder of what they'd missed while dismissing us. And finally, I concluded, we're announcing a new corporate initiative. The Sarah Wright Scholarship Fund will provide full business education funding for service workers and support staff. Because sometimes the next great CEO is serving coffee in your office. The room erupted in applause, genuine applause, not the polite golf claps my stepfamily was known for. As the meeting concluded, Patricia approached me, her designer handbag clutched like a shield. Sarah, she began, I know we've had our differences. Differences? James interrupted, appearing protectively at my side. Is that what you call systematically undermining and belittling someone for 15 years? We didn't know, she protested weakly.